Landladies and GIF gents, set your AOL away message to BRB, make your avatar 20% sexier than reality, and Nick, I'm getting a 403 forbidden music error message. What does that mean?
Beep, 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 beep. It's time to talk Tull to me.
That's really good. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together, we are 2 bites in a bit, the Feckless Momes.
And this, my little icons, is Talk Tull to me.
A cascading core failure in the server farm of prog rock, in which Netiquette Nick and Organic Listing Omen will surf the wave files of each and every tattered track that rich media rock band Jethro Tull have ever uploaded to our neural net. We will navigate the nodes of Najma Akhtar. We will download a gajillion Giddings gigabytes, learn to code with Jonathan Noyce JavaScript, and run an HDMI cable straight from the Martin Bar modem directly to our discussion group desktop. And if we can hack our way into the darkest corner of the dark web, what
just terrible. An HDMI cable coming from a modem is just...
Is that not how it works?
No.
Oh, okay. That's why I have issues. And if we can hack our way into the darkest corner of the dark web, we may encounter the shadowy figure our parents wring their hands over, the Scottish search engine, the flash animation flautist, the cyber spaceman of Sky, the hyperhost who can hack my hotspot, a man who updates his hardware every year but never his operating system. Ian, thank you for your message. I'm out of the office and I will return your email in 7 to 18 business weeks. Anderson.
That was good.
Was it accurate to the language of the internet?
Aside from the HDMI cable, yeah, for the most part, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Oh. The internet.
It was passably convincing.
I've realized in the last year or so that the internet, what I consider to be the internet, is but a thin film over top of the real internet, which I cannot actually perceive. My eyes have not been graced by the fairy juice, and so I can only see the glamour. I can't see the reality behind it.
I'm not sure how to take that. Is that you only use the internet for certain specific things and that's it? Or...
Well, it's just that, if I go to a website and I'm like, tell me a synonym for this, what I don't see is all the coding and requests and messages that get sent back, all the ones and zeros that's existing below that surface, like the inky depths of the ocean.
Yeah, right.
Whereas you are an internet submariner.
I mean, I can teach a 90-year-old geriatric alumni from Cornell how to log into their email. Well, I can walk them through it. I can't necessarily teach them. But I that's the extent. I'm certainly not a rich sailor of the internet seas.
You're looking through a glass bottom boat.
There you go.
At the undercurrents of the internet.
I know how the sausage is made.
Yeah. And I just eat the sausage.
That's right.
Speaking of which, Nick, what is the track about which we have the absolute pleasure of talking Tull to about today?
Well, we are going to talk Tull on this, our 300th episode.
What? Oh my gosh, I didn't get you anything.
What's the 300th anniversary? I don't know.
the tricentennial.
Yeah.
Traditional tricentennial gifts.
I would be shocked if there was actually a tricentennial gift.
Yep,
meaning nothing?
Yep, nothing.
What has celebrated a tricentennial? Some trees?
Countries.
A country, yeah. Not even the States.
My virginity.
Your virginity, 300 years old.
300 years old, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, Nick, what is this very special 300th episode dedicated to?
It is dedicated to the internet. It's dedicated to the song .com.
That's where we live.
We live here on the internet.
That's the only home we've ever known.
You can visit us anytime you want. You don't even need to knock.
.com, the title track off of jtull.com.
That's right, track number 2.
And let's just dive in, shall we?
Let's diggity-doggity.com dive into this.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm ashamedly muting my microphone.
Very good. Nick McGill.
Oh, man.
4 minutes and 25 seconds of .com. Is this a song that you enjoy to listen to?
I sure do.
Do you really?
I sure do, yeah.
Okay,
There's
great.
something like sexy slinky about this song.
Yeah, oh, yeah, there is.
Like I'm getting covered in chocolate sauce and I love it.
Yeah. It is very sexy and it's very sensuous, which is not necessarily what I would expect from a song about the internet.
I know. It is. I mean, I think it ties in with, I don't remember if I left it in the edit last week or not. I may have, but we were talking about how there's some cognitive dissonance about this album, this album being about the internet, being .com.
Yeah.
And leave it to Ian to make something this succulent.
Yes, exactly.
To be called .com.
I know, it really is interesting. And the more I've listened to this album, the more I feel that it is, like every Tull album, a product of its time, but even more so with this one.
Yeah. Of all the songs to have an amazing backup vocalist to take it to the extreme in the exotic, the one about .com is the one to do it in, I think. To counteract that, like, .com versus sexy slinky Jethro Tull, you know?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this last episode, but this album was released and named at the same time that Jethro Tull got their first website. And
yes,
you accessed what that website initially looked like using the Wayback Machine, which I guess is sort of an internet archive.
Yes. Yeah. It takes snapshots or took snapshots of all sorts of sites. You can see a site that still exists, but that site 30 years ago or 20 years ago, however many years ago.
Right. So we looked at the original Jethro Tull website. We might talk about it a little bit more later, but it was really a reminder of like, oh yeah, the internet was a place that you used to sit down and intentionally go to and visit, and you had to log in with your phone line. Mm-hmm. Nobody could call you if you were on the internet.
Yep.
And then you logged off of the entire internet. It didn't follow you around in your freaking pocket like it does now.
Right. Yeah. You logged on for a specific reason. You finished that, and then you left.
Yes. I have perused Jethro Tull's new website. Now I will get off of the internet so that calls can come through.
There was no rabbit holing back then.
Yeah, or less. I mean, there were just fewer places to go. I looked around a little bit at maps of the internet. And modern maps of the internet look like a galaxy or, just infinite lines connecting. It looks like almost kind of a brain in the ways that it's all these neurons connecting every which way. Old maps of the internet were, a couple of lines here, a couple of lines there, and big empty spots.
Yeah, right. It's quite possibly the biggest innovation we've seen in our lifetime, and stuff has moved pretty quickly. But I would say it's pretty handy.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Lunchables were also invented. That was a pretty big deal.
That's true. Groundbreaking, the Lunchables. Yeah.
And as we've noted before, Ian Anderson has always been an early adopter when it comes to technology, and I think rather optimistically sees the positive possibilities. And for me, we'll get into the content of the song in the second half, but I do think that even in the music, there is this sense of excitement, hopefulness, curiosity, and that you've discovered this exciting new land that you're just beginning to explore.
Yeah, that is all there musically. Absolutely, yes. Sonically, that if this were sung in German, I would still get that feeling by virtue of the sound of it. Yeah.
Yeah. The first sound that we hear is this incredible ship's bell type sounding thing.
I know.
Dang, dang.
Yep.
What is that? What does that do for you?
The imagery I get is like being enveloped in a fog, in a thick pea souper, and then hearing that off in the distance. It is both a warning and a signal to follow the sound or avoid the sound. It's
a warning and a signal.
It's the metaphor for the internet.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe that is the scream of the modem, in this song.
Yeah, well, and then shortly thereafter, the next sound that we hear is the one that I clocked was Martin doing harmonics on the guitar, that kind of bing, bang, bing. It does feel a little bit like that modem sound. I'd never associated that, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah, if you said Jethro Tull, hey, make a modem sound, I think that's probably what we'd get.
Martin, at this point, I'd like for you to make the sound of a dial-up modem.
Yes, Ian. Yes, Ian. Yeah, right away.
I just finished learning how to play the bagpipes on the guitar. The first voice that we hear is the voice of Najma Akhtar.
Yeah.
One of the very, very few times that we ever hear a female voice in any Jethro Tull song. I think there's
Salamander's Ragtime, which...
Salamander's Ragtime.
Salamander's Ragtime.
Is there one other? There may be. I can't remember. I thought there was.
Would you like another cup of tea, dear?
Would you like another cup of tea, dear?
Yeah, I mean, technically, but it's not singing. It's not backup.
Oh! A Stitch in Time.
Thank you. That's the other one. Yep.
A Stitch in Time saves 9. We have a little chorus of voices in the background.
Yeah.
Stitch in time saves 9.
But yeah, a rarity, and in this case, a rarity that I wouldn't mind if it was less rare. I mean, her voice sits so beautifully.
Yeah.
We'll learn a little bit more about her, but who is she?
Najma Akhtar is a singer, songwriter, composer, and actor. She's British. Her new album, 5 Rivers, was released in 2022. Looks like she's been active for quite some time.
She's British born. She has an Indian background.
Yes, and her site is najmaakhtar.com.
.com.
How appropriate.
Interesting. How appropriate.
Looks like you can follow her on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram if you are so inclined.
Amongst one of the things that she seems to do is incorporate traditional Indian folk singing into other forms.
She sang The Battle of Evermore for the MTV special Unplugged for the No Quarter Jimmy Page and Robert Plant Unleaded album.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's one to listen to.
She's a specialist in romantic Urdu poetry.
Oh.
Urdu ballads, Sufi devotional poetry. Oh, wow. I mean, just sounds like the exact kind of person that you'd want to collaborate with, just because she sounds like she has a really broad and deep background.
Yeah. And Ian used her clearly to her strength, not just having her sing as the female harmony in the chorus. She's adding so much more to it.
And I think that, particularly because she's singing in an Indian style, it does give us a little bit of a connection to Roots to Branches.
Yes.
It makes both the albums feel like a little bit in the same world.
Yeah, definitely.
We get Ian's fantastic flute flurry, doing that recurring riff, the squeak beep 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 beep.
Leading up until that point, it's been about, I think it takes about 15, 20 seconds to get to the flute.
Yes.
Leading up to that point, we've got the harmonics, we've got the voice, we've got the bell. We've also got a drum kit going on in the background. When the flute comes in, we get a hand drum. We get like a bongo going on.
I didn't notice it until later, but I did notice the hand drumming. Doan is doing some really fun stuff with that and leaning into that quote unquote exotic sound, exotic to the Western ear sound.
Yeah, right. When bass pops up, it's there. It's pretty solid throughout, but when it does step forward, it's really chunky. It's really nice. The first spot that really stuck out for me was 140, and there were a couple times after that as well. Jonathan Noyce really bringing a meaty pork chop to this one.
Yeah. It might be the same moment that you noticed, but I have at about 112. I think it's when Ian says, "So punch my name." That space in between "so punch my name" and "in case you wonder."
Yep.
Noyce does this incredible kind of shift with the bass where he goes, "Well, boom, boom, so punch my name, boom, boom, boom."
So punch my name, and in case you wonder,
there's a little distortion on the bass here. Not a lot, but enough to make it sound reverberant and almost like you can hear your speakers vibrating because of the bass.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. It's a really good sound.
The one thing that I remember Jonathan Noyce saying in an interview was his goal was to be a stealth bassist that you don't hear, but you feel.
Yeah, I both heard and felt this, and I'm not upset about it.
I felt myself hearing it.
Yeah.
I heard it so much I had felt.
I was feeling myself when I heard it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love the way he's playing. I love what he's bringing to this. To me, this type of bass playing is the kind of modern Tull sound in my ear.
Yeah.
As much as I loved Peggy, all the Peggy years, I'm really enjoying the Noicities.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think this combination of Jonathan Noyce and Doan Perry in particular, pulling in these two more modern, more rock and state-sounding rock sounds with their instrumentation, it really takes this to another level.
There's a great level of precision from both of them that I'm finding delightful.
I would have loved to have heard Peggy playing Roots to Branches on the album and then going to see Jonathan Noyce playing those tracks in the tour.
Yeah.
That would be a really cool juxtaposition to hear.
I'm sure we could find some live stuff from the Roots to Branches tour.
Oh yeah, there must be.
At 155, going over to Andy Giddings, he's doing some great synth work, and the setting that he's using at that moment, at least, sounds to me intentionally digital.
so punch my name, and in case you wonder, I'll be yours.
The whole trajectory of the synth for years has been, well, let's make it sound more like a real instrument, like make it sound not digital.
Yeah.
I think that he's playing with the digitality of it. And it's bringing something really fun because it doesn't sound overtly synthy. There's something just a little bit like electric about it that is fun.
That fits so perfectly with the song itself as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little later, we have some nice work from Martin. I noticed that there's something that he's doing. Comes down to the rhythm of the song, but there's this kind of bump, bow, bump, bow. It's the 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. He's doing that with some chords, and then at around 242, he busts out with a really lovely classic Martin Barre riff. For me, I wouldn't mind if it was a little longer. If they'd given him another 8 count to kind of fool around.
Yeah.
But it drops back into the verse, and it's great. It's effective.
From Silent Singing, a little line from the opening blurb.
Yeah.
The titletrack.com uses an Indian bansuri, which I tried to play in the style of their traditional Indian flautists who adorn the Bollywood scores of the great composer A.R. Rahman.
That's so cool.
He's using a wooden flute in this one, yeah.
Huh. I don't know that I would have noticed that it was a different instrument.
I know. I'm going to have to listen to it with that in mind and see if I can tell. But it's so crisp. It's sharp.
I do hear what he's talking about stylistically, where he's doing just a lot of bending. He's doing these great big flourishes and then ending with a note that slowly bends itself.
Yeah.
It's so fun. This is one of my favorite tracks off this album.
It's really good. It's really, really solid. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the music or all of the individual pieces of the music that make up this beautiful quilt, they're all fairly simple. It feels like it's musically simple, but in that, it just makes it that much more potent. You're not trying to chase a weird time signature or a wonky melody. There's a little mystery and a little minor sound here and there, but for the most part, it's straightforward, and it really, the minorness of it, the minority of it is really what keeps it so intriguing.
Yes. Well said. All the elements are simple, clean, easy to hear. There's a moment about 3 minutes in where I feel like all the elements finally come together.
Give a clue, leave a kind word, lead us to a destination, a domain where our cyber souls might meet.
It's almost as if there's been a game of whack-a-mole being played where anytime they bring in a new instrument, they take something out to allow you to hear the new thing. But at 3 minutes, everything's there. That's when the song kind of blooms into this fullness, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really, really fun.
Yeah. It was worth the wait.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah.
It was worth the 300-year wait for my virginity.
You were waiting for that Bansuri flute.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
So while we were reading the Yerman program during Roots to Branches during our halfway, a couple episodes in, sweet writer and her folky Phil messaged me and sent me a PDF of the program that was sold for this tour, for the .com tour.
Yeah.
Actually, for the tour that you and I saw them on.
Yes. And he really is the focus of Phil's. And
Lest we forget.
This is such a cool thing to look at. And, we haven't read all the programs, probably because we haven't had access to them. But this one, I want to read an excerpt from the introduction for it, just because it's such a great window into this moment in time.
Yeah, so the contents of the program altogether it's not like the last program where everybody writes about a song. There's some articles in there from different writers, and there's even a part in the intro where Ian says, some of the stuff in here is reprinted from our website. And some of you may complain because you read the Jethro Tull website every day, but for those of you who don't, this is a taste of it. So if you like this, go read it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to track it down, go for it. But it's not as monumentally eye-opening. It's a lot of historical stuff that we as Tolkiologists already know.
Right. The front, it has the image of the CD. The second page, it has a promotion for the new CD and also a promotion for The Secret Language of Birds.
That's right.
The Millennium solo album by Ian Anderson.
Ooh.
And then on the frontis page, I suppose you could say, is a wonderful picture of the band all dressed in an amusing array of outfits. And then a note from a page from Ian Anderson. Looking back over the 30 years of proper tours, which J. Tull have carried out, there has been a bewildering array of programs to accompany them. The earliest were produced by third parties in almost laughable disregard for accuracy or value for money, in cheesy, amorish parody of British showbiz values. Later, when the tours and the programs came under the control of the band rather than record company or management, a degree of inventiveness and detailed professionalism ensured that the buck was not passed, but better spent. These days, any meaningful touring band should benefit from a slick, computer-driven graphics and sharp, glossy photographs scanned at an ever-increasing resolution. Thankfully, we all rightly expect quality and quantity from a tour program, this arch competitor to the humble but ever-present T-shirt and silly baseball cap. Before you part with Dosh, Wonga, Greenback, or Amex, think how lucky you are to be living in this age of concerned responsibility, when all merchandisers and bands alike take on the full weighty task of giving you, the esteemed consumer, goods and services which you have come to expect in the face of so many demands for your custom. He goes on to say that he hasn't seen a good tour program from any artist in 20 years.
He also caveats that with saying he doesn't get out much anymore either.
That's true. I love the style that this program is done in. It almost reminds me of a zine, where it's just like little bits of ephemera scanned in there.
Yeah. It's almost like a scrapbook.
Yes. He goes on to thank some of the people who participated in the making of the program and the tour in general, some of whom I think we met in London.
And he thanks Zarkowski Designs, whom we talked about
in the last album. Yeah.
Last album. And he says something about that they even forced him to accept payment this time because he just likes working with them so much.
And you mentioned, that he says the decision to include some material from our official website was taken with careful consideration. He also goes on, but since there are so many who do not regularly, if ever, have access to the web, especially in Europe.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to see examples of the often changing site content. So we have to keep reminding ourselves. I will continue to remind myself.
Remind me as well while you're at it, please.
I'm going to remind you to remind myself.
Okay, I'll remind you that.
Thank you. I forgot what we were talking about. That the internet at this time was still a novelty that you had to really go out and look for and get access to.
Right. We weren't so utterly dependent on it.
Now, let's remember that there are still lots of people in the world who don't have access to the web, and that is an increasing factor in separating the wealthy from the impoverished. Because you have to have internet to be able to make money, but you have to have money to be able to access the internet.
Yeah.
But this is back when it wasn't something that everyone depended on every day.
It was burgeoning, yeah.
And just the end here, there's a nod to the fact that it's coming up on the millennia. Thinking back, there was a lot of hope and angst about the new millennium. And so at the very end, he says, he's talking about people who've seen the tour over and over again. Do you realize you will soon be eligible for air miles, loyalty cards, special on-stage seating, and access to the courtesy drinks trolley? Want to be Martin's running buddy? Want to be my pussycat? Want to take a Tull home for tea? Etc., etc., etc. Think of the creative and commercial possibilities awaiting us in the millennium. Hey, I'm just a flute player. Ian Anderson. It's so silly. It's the typical, it's what we've come to expect from Ian. But there's a new energy to it in this moment that I appreciate.
I feel like there are multiple facets of Ian. There's the written Ian.
Oh, yes.
There's the public-facing Ian. There's the who are these two weirdos who came over from the States outside of my dressing room Ian. I've got a picture of that one.
Yeah. There's the razzing on Martin Ian.
Yeah, right. Giving everybody the piss, yeah.
Yeah. I love that they included a picture of Martin in his running gear in this program.
Yeah.
Quite good form.
He's a runner. He's been a runner. Long time.
Yeah.
I should hope he has good form.
So, I think this will be something that we check back on from time to time during this album if we find it of interest. And now we shall return to our program, which is Talking Tull.
Omen.
Nah.
Let's talk content.
Oh, let's do. So we rather glibly and perfunctorily said that this song is about the internet.
Yes, right.
I think we might have to walk that back.
Probably, yes.
But let's see.
Well, before we dive into that, what does .com elicit for you? Anything?
It's sort of a linguistic appendix that keeps hanging around far beyond its use at all. I mean, I think that probably on the coding side of things, when you create a URL, you do need a dot something because that indicates where in the World Wide Web it lives. It kind of is a geographical marker of the web, if you could call it that.
Yeah, it's web address is an accurate name. It's an apt name. Yeah, it tells you where it lives.
But, you know, it's become obsolete in a way in terms of the vernacular. Like, if you want to be anachronistic, you say, go to www.facebook.com.
Yeah, right.
Nobody says that anymore.
Yeah.
You say, go to Facebook.
Right. All of you out there, don't go to Facebook.
No, don't go to
We're
Facebook.
not supporting that.
In the 90s or in the early 2000s, you might say that someone was thebomb.com.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because that's what I get out of this. That's all that I'llBeYours.com.
Yes.
I cannot not think of bomb.com.
Yes. Yours.com is such an amazing phrase. And so, I mean, could only exist in a very short period of time. But it does feel to me like I'll be yours and more so.
Oh, see, to me, it's finality. It's done. That's where you put the end of the sentence and we go there.
I'll be yours, period.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I love that. Yeah, because it is what you put at the end.
Yeah.
I'll be yours, period. I'll be yours.com.
Yeah.
I'll be yours.gov.
.edu. So I did a quick little cursory search on thebomb.com.
Okay.
And
now you're on the FBI's watch list.
I'm in serious trouble. So urbandictionary.com, an actual pretty useful resource.
Oh, yeah.
The earliest entry for bomb.com was in 2008.
Wow. It must have been used before that.
I definitely remember hearing it in high school, and we were in high school between 2003 and 2007. But it certainly wasn't around in 99.
But Ian Anderson was around in 99.
But Ian Anderson was. And I think what I'm saying is Ian Anderson started thebomb.com.
Invented the internet.
Right, yeah.
It's a wide world out there, so much wider than imagined.
It's a wide world out there, so much wider than imagined.
Already, we have a little pun. It's a wide world web. It's a world wide web.
The World Wide Web. Yeah, that's what the WWW is.
Yeah. It's a wide world out there, so much wider than imagined. So, again, going back to the early days of the internet, there was this sense of, oh, whoa, we have access to more information than we realized, more information than we realized was even out there.
Yeah.
And now it's almost the opposite. It's like, all the information that we could ever possibly access, we already have access to, and so nothing's exciting anymore.
Yeah, there is a bit of overexposure on we.
Yes, there are apps now that are about silencing your other apps.
Yeah.
Because we're so oversaturated with information coming at us.
Yeah.
This was still the moment when it was like, there's information out there that I can go access? Oh my God.
I have to get onto a computer to do it, and the computer weighs 40 pounds, and I have to dial up for it, but it's there.
It's going to take 45 minutes to download this grainy image of a naked lady.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if she's naked until the 15% of it is downloaded. And
by then, it's too late. It's the sunken cost fallacy. You might as well just download it.
Yep. And then your mom comes home at the last minute and you have to pull the circuit breaker. All right. It's a wide world out there, so much wider than imagined. I can't quite put my finger on the pulse of your heart, softly beating just beneath the raw silk sheen that reflects the tints of autumn from the hills. Oh my God.
I can't quite put my finger on the pulse of your heart, softly beating just beneath the raw silk sheen that reflects the tints of autumn from the hills.
So it's interesting, you know, at the end of the day, Ian Anderson is very deeply connected to the earth, the land, nature, and all this. And even in this internet frame, he's still bringing this sense of seasonality, this sense of tactile naturalness.
Yeah. Just like the sensuality and the romance, he can't separate himself from that. So he puts even these new concepts, these new ideas, this new technology,
yes,
in the frame that he understands, that he sees the world. Yeah.
Exactly. Now people do in reverse. On TikTok, people are like, infinite vegetable hack. If you take the seeds out of this tomato that you bought from the store, you can spawn infinite tomatoes. It's like, yeah, it's agriculture.
They've known that for a while, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, TikToker. Is it also perhaps that the raw silk sheen that the lover's heart is just beneath is the screen of a computer?
Yeah, definitely.
You can't quite touch, you can't quite feel the pulse of somebody through the screen.
Yeah. We are connected in one way, in some way, email,
Yeah.
chatting, whatever. But I can't put my finger on your pulse. But we're there. I know we're there. We're sharing this moment together.
Yeah. And that's what's fascinating. That's the juxtaposition of this song that I find fascinating. So punch my name into a search engine.
Mm-hmm.
And in case you wonder, I'll be yours.com.
So punch my name, and in case you wonder, I'll be yours.com.
One of the things that I get out of this song is this infinite connection. I mean, if you imagine somebody who's been on tour for, at this point, almost, 40 years, 30 years, whatever, however many.
Yeah.
The idea that now there's the internet that you could log on to and talk in real time with somebody and share things with, that's so exciting.
This is the equivalent of the songs that we heard. What's the one where he calls from the hotel room?
Long distance telephone keeps ringing out engaged. Wonder who you're talking with tonight.
Long distance telephone keeps ringing out engaged. Wonder who you're talking with tonight.
Yeah, this is just that era's version of that song.
In that line, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Excited to dive into the next verse. Executive accommodation, bland but nonetheless appealing. Waiters discreetly at your beck and call.
Executive accommodation, bland but nonetheless appealing. Waiters discreetly at your beck and call.
I'm curious to hear what you get from this, but for me, there's this sense of the internet at the time brought along with it some classism. Not maybe intentionally, but if you have the money to access the internet, you can get services that other people can't.
Sure.
Also, if you have a lot of access to the internet, you probably have money.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that this new digital age at the moment was associated with executive accommodations, this kind of simultaneous elevated sense of luxury while also a new kind of anonymity.
Yeah.
This executive accommodation is as bland as every other executive accommodation in the world. And weirdly, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Right. And the waiters in this instance are the website coming to you, giving you the information, the website where you book your plane tickets, things like that.
The faceless servants
Yeah.
that serve you, the faceless entities that are fulfilling your desires.
That 5 years ago had to be in person or a phone call at best.
Exactly. I mean, for someone as antisocial as Ian Anderson, the internet must have been the best thing that ever happened to him.
That's why he invented it.
Right. Yeah. If only I could get curry without having to speak or see anyone.
Yeah, Currybox was the name of his first site. Yeah.
That's right. Currybox. Yeah. .curry. Place the tall sundown potion lightly at your velvet elbow while you compose a message on the wall.
Place the tall sundown potion lightly by your velvet elbow while you compose a message on the wall.
Whew.
Yeah.
What is the tall sundown potion?
Is that a cocktail? Right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a potion of sundown. A nighttime concoction.
Right. Makes you fall asleep, or it's one that you take at sundown.
Right?
Yeah.
I love velvet elbow. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Velvet elbow.
Velvet elbow. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to say.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that Ian is singing all of this to a lover figure, and yet that person is never addressed with a name, with a pronoun of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
Never described, really.
Yeah.
Except in this very roundabout way. Just, your velvet elbow. We have the impression that someone is soft, maybe wearing a nightgown, a nighttime clothing.
That is literally the only physical description we have of our character here.
Oh, I guess we have another one a little bit later.
I got mugged. What did she look like? She had a velvet elbow. I don't. That's all I remember. It was so soft.
Get the poetic police artist down here. Does this stanza describe their... What they look like? Well, my mistress eyes are nothing like the sun. No, that narrows it the down. While you compose a message on your wall, this harkens back to the days of AOL Instant Messenger, where I lost my digital virginity.
Your diginity.
My diginity, or I degenerated.
Well, you became a degenerate.
No joke, some of my first sexual experiences were on AOL Instant Messenger with internet strangers.
A lot of our generation had that.
Yeah. Nice, clean fun.
Your computer can catch things, but you can't.
That's right, exactly. But I remember, selecting the perfect away message was like...
Oh my God, yeah, of course.
You have to make it interesting, but not without giving too much away, right. Make it seem like you're doing something important. That's why you're not online.
Yeah. The internet for teens nowadays I cannot even imagine. I'm dreading the day that Rook gets his own device.
Finds out about the internet.
When we tell him about the internet. But for us, we were still testing the waters,
I think that our generation has a unique, every generation, I guess, has a unique experience with technology, but our generation's experience with the internet specifically, we're the only generation who remembers what it was like before the internet, but also grew up with the internet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So some of our formative experiences, some of our very formative experiences were on the internet.
Yeah.
And are downloadable from the internet for a price.
Hit that dark web.
Don't punch my name.
Also, writing your message on the wall, isn't that what a chat forum was? Weren't they considered walls?
Yes. And also there's the linguistic reference to the writing on the wall.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
That kind of says like, yeah, here's a cocktail. Why don't you log off for the night, baby?
Yeah. So what's the writing on the wall? Something that's evident?
Something that's inevitable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have repeats of So Punch My Name, and In Case You Wonder, I'll Be Yours, Yours.com. Final verse, with your handmade leather valet packed and ready waiting. Showered and dressed down lightly for the heat.
With your handmade leather valleys packed and ready waiting. Showered and dressed down lightly for the heat.
I suppose that's another physical description.
What she's wearing? Yeah. You sure you don't have any other details? She was dressed lightly for the heat, I guess?
she smelled nice?
But it was the velvet elbow that I really remember.
Right. And again, the handmade leather valet.
Valise.
Well, he sings valet.
Does he?
I think so.
Does he though?
Well, anyway, it's a
bag.
A bag. It radiates this sense of luxury, this sense of exclusivity, this sense of being just a little bit better than everyone else.
I can afford the internet.
Give a clue, leave a kind word, hint as to destination, a domain where our cyber souls might meet.
Give a clue, leave a kind word, hint as to a destination, a domain where our cyber souls might meet.
There's so much there, so many different ways you can interpret it.
I'm thinking now.
Finally.
30 years later, I'm thinking now that maybe are these two strangers?
Is this the first internet hookup?
The first ever catfish.
Sort of a codfish, really, but
it's a codfish. Codfish blues, yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it makes me think of the What We Do in the Shadows joke. Laszlo Cravensworth was like, I was there when cinematography was invented, and a week later, cinematic pornography was invented.
In the late 1800s, a new and exciting medium was invented, and that medium was called cinema. And then about a week later, that developed into pornos.
There's a sense that, any technology, the second thing it's ever used for is sex.
That might be one of the rules of the internet, actually.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, maybe it is this sense of like, oh, I'm exploring the internet. I found this anonymous chat room. I felt a connection with somebody. And then maybe they're going to meet IRL.
He invented that acronym too.
Offline, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in here telling us that this is him meeting or chatting or talking with someone that he knows. And actually, now that I think about it, that .com...
I'll be yours. I'll be fully yours as long as we keep this completely anonymous.
In the real world, I'll be yours, period. Here, in this world, online, I'll be yours.com.
Ooh, and maybe there's that sense of like, you can be anyone you want to online. That's what the anonymity gives you.
Yeah.
And now we see so many of the dark sides of that. But I feel like in the beginning, there was this sense of like, oh my God, I can be whoever I want to be.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't have to be trapped by how my hometown perceives me, how whatever. So maybe there's this sense of like, oh, I'm staying at the executive hotel because, I'm very wealthy. Oh, well, I've just showered and my beautiful skin is perfectly perfumed in this velvet gown. Oh, I just have to pack my high luxury valise bag. And it's not.
Yeah.
Everyone's just sitting in their parents' basement.
Yep. Right.
Eating Cheetos.
Playing Halo.
Yes. But there's this idea of a domain where our cyber souls might meet.
Yeah.
That you can extend your personhood far beyond what you could before.
Yeah. I'm leaning much more heavily toward that one than the internet allows us to keep in touch.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And if we pull back and look at the album as a whole, I think there's a lot of support for that type of idea. If we look at AWOL, one of the lines is, email that girl who's working nights. She can dress down for this wind and rain.
Email that girl who's working nights. She can dress down for this wind and rain.
Suddenly, the internet has opened up a whole world of flirting.
Mm-hmm.
That is more discreet.
Right. How did you do it otherwise? You wrote a saucy letter? You called somebody?
You dropped your glove up in the accounting department?
You sent them a couple of sultry numbers through their pager?
Also, though, people used to socialize. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I have such mixed feelings about this album because...
I know. On
the one side, it's like, oh, the beginning of everything that we know in the modern world. And the other side, it's like, oh, the beginning of everything we know.
Oh, no. Yeah. Seeing that, it's a weird... So far, and we're only 2 songs in, but so far it feels like this hopeful time capsule.
Yes.
Whereas we're opening it up and we're seeing like a Beanie Baby and a Twinkie and a modem, and we're seeing things that are like, oh, these were not our best times and they've led to even worse.
Yeah. But we have to keep remembering that at the time there was that sense of hope, that sense of excitement, that sense of fear as well.
Yeah. The unknown.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It is. It really is. I didn't think we'd get so much out of this song, but I'm glad we dug into it. I'm glad we got that because I will not listen to this song the same way again.
And I'm glad that we have a domain where our cyber souls can meet those of all of the wonderful Tull Skulls that we have. I mean, we wouldn't have this podcast, we wouldn't have this community if it was not for the internet.
That's true. There are so many downsides, obviously, but there are also so many upsides to the internet. And one of the ones that I have felt the most potently is the ability to connect with like-minded people. And that's not always the best thing when
it depends. Yeah.
You're a hate group.
Sure. But if you're a love group,
like Talk Tull to Me, like the Feckless Momes, then it's really amazing. I wouldn't ever in my life have met the people that we have met without that.
We would never have gone to Spalding.
That's right.
Without the internet.
We wouldn't have met our Tull Skulls.
Nick, what are we listening to on the next week of this amazing internet journey?
Next week, track number 3 off of .com. It is AWOL. An acronym.
And we'll have to find out what an acronym is next week. Until then, I am discreetly at your beck and call. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
I am dressed down lightly for the heat. Nick McGill.
We're reflecting the tints of autumn. The feckless Momes.
And what's that in your handmade leather valise, packed and ready, waiting? Oh, it's Talk Tell to Me.
I thought it was porn.
Oh, it's porn. It's also porn.
It's porn tell to me. Frungle 29, can you hear me? Do you read me?
I hear you, Leap Boy. I hear you. What is it?
Frungle, I'm in a real position here. I need the help of the hacker network.
You got it.
I'm deep on the dark web, and I'm trying to find my way to the Golden Globe.
From your tracker, I see that your satellite position is just northwesterly. I think you can hack in there.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let me go there. Just stand by. Click. Stand by. Click. I was reading the teleprompter in my own mind. And
wait for applause.
Okay, I'm at the northwest access panel, 10 clicks
right.
north of the bony face.
All right, plug in your Ethernet.
Yeah, okay, I've got that.
All right, you want modem setting 3675.
Let me get out my portable keyboard. I'm in.
Okay. So this is a very well-maintained server, so we need to be careful.
There's a lot of ones and zeros in here. I don't know if I can handle it.
You can handle the binary. We've trained for this.
It's giving me an access test. It's trying to figure out if I'm a robot or not.
Right. So click on the squares with bicycles.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm sweating into the internet right.
Take your time.
Sweating
Take your
into my
time.
keyboard. That's a bicycle.
Prove that you are a human.
That's a bicycle.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, is that a motorcycle or a bicycle? What's the difference? Oh, okay, it said I'm not a computer.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay,
I'm in.
great,
I'm
great.
in. I'm past the firewall.
Okay, right. So now we need to bypass the WAN by uploading a Terralink.
Okay, let me get my Terralink vector unit and read off the serial number. That's an H915 beta alpha / dot alpha net.
Okay.
Okay, is that confirmed on your end?
I'm checking. I see.
Oh, there's a scanning crawler bot coming through. It's trying to infect my devices with worms.
Put up a brick wall protocol.
Oh my God! So glad I called you on my burner phone, Frungle.
Okay, have the worms passed yet?
The worms have passed. Yeah, I'm under the Bluetooth cyber net.
Okay, great. Now we need to latch into the RSS feed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm latching.
We need to enter the username.
Oh. Yeah. Read it out to me.
Feckless Momes.
69. Yes.
The password is momification.
Momification. Oh my God. It's like I'm looking into the very soul of the internet gods. There's so much information. My brain is overloading. It's all coming together. The patterns, they're beautiful, Frungle. They're beautiful. I wish you could see it.
Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. We can't lose you.
I'm in too deep. I'm getting absorbed. My last transmission is this. Talk Tell to Me is a out member of the Feckless Momes Audio Network.
Damn it, he got lawnmower manned.